Where is he? Oh, he's climbing up the side.
My wife and I have been in the house sick for the last few days. I think we've got COVID again. And I don't have my trail cam set up at the moment. And this is about, what, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, dear?
Yeah. Oh, no, 5.
About 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just happened to look down at our bird feeder and saw this big furry bird down there. He's a masked bandit. They usually don't come out in the daylight. They usually wait and come out at night. Well, good morning, guys and gals. It's me, George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man. And I'm about to, complete the final repair on my truck as far as I know. And that has to do with replacing the drive shaft, the rear drive shaft. I've already installed the center bearing. And I was going to be rebuilding this CV joint, which is, when it's all assembled, it looks just like this. And this one here actually is good. And I bought the parts to fix this one. You can see the ball. And the ball then goes into this socket here. And there are 3 sleeves that go around the ball, and there's a spring that goes down in behind there, and this all gets greased and it all gets stuck together, and you have double U-joint set up like that. And I was going to rebuild it. And of course this piece here goes over the outside of them to tie it all together. I was going to rebuild it, and I had gotten the parts, but then when I got this apart finally, I looked down here and I discovered that this was all chewed up in here. See that? So that my replacing the sleeves and so forth was not going to help the situation. In fact, the U-joints that I took off of this seemed to be fairly new. And even the parts down inside of here seem to be fairly new, but they were all coming apart. And this is where my vibration was coming from that I was getting driving down the road. And I was fully intending to do a video on how to rebuild one of these CV joints. But we're not going to do that because now they have finally decided, and I think for a good reason, that instead of having all these CV joints, there's 2 in that back drive shaft, we are going to replace that double CV joint drive shaft with this new drive shaft, which has a single universal joint on this one and a single universal joint on this end, which makes a whole lot more sense. My last truck, my 4-wheel drive, it had just single U-joints front and back on a single drive shaft, and it worked fine for many years. And having been an auto mechanic back in the 80s and 70s, CV joints were becoming popular, and I can tell you they were a problem back then. Why they kept on using them for so long, I don't know. Probably because they had bunches of them put together. So we're going to replace the drive shaft with this unit, and I'm going to take back my other parts that I had bought, and we'll get our problem solved and have fewer parts to go wrong. You know the old saying, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method. Yeah, and we need to chase off one of the roosters here. Yeah, there he goes. Come on. Now, go on back, down back. Come on. Come on. Come on. Go. 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 Come on, go. 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 There you go. They do get to be a pain sometimes. You may notice that my voice is a little bit hoarse sounding, and I'm a little bit congested still. I'm recovering again from COVID, second time around. Thankfully this time it wasn't quite so severe and it hasn't lasted so long. So I've got to get my drive shaft put in, and then I'm going to load my truck up and run to the dump, which will be safe for everybody because I'm not going to be in contact with anybody. At our dump will be 30 or 40 feet away from the nearest person. There you can see our new carrier bearing, or center bearing as it's called, in place. And I have already put the sleeve and the bushing and the seal in here. This sleeve screws onto the front of the drive shaft yoke, which is right here. And you can see I've already put some grease on the splines so it'll slide in place. And I wished now I had made a video of removing and replacing this carrier bearing. It might have been helpful to some of you, but unfortunately I did not. So let me get this drive shaft installed. I'm going to just slide the yoke on the front here, and I won't put attach the sleeve on it until after I get it bolted on the back. And the back on these vehicles requires a 16mm wrench. There's 4 bolts that go on there to hold the flanges together. And I'll bolt that up and I'll bring it back and show you the finished product. Okay, there we are, all bolted up to the differential flange. And nice shiny new drive shaft, and you can see our sleeve yoke onto the spline for the front drive shaft. And it should be noted that it can only go on one way because there is one spot on the spline on the front drive shaft and one spot on the spline inside of the yoke that have to match up. It essentially is a double space where they didn't spline it on the shaft, and they made an extra wide spline inside the yoke. So they can only go on one way. That makes sure that your universal joints are lined up properly with one another so that there doesn't end up being a binding situation. So I hope that will help somebody. I have a piece of advice. This is not a project to finish up when you're recovering from COVID. My energy level is lower than normal, which is pretty low these days anyway, being an old man. But we got her done. Now I can take my truck down off the jacks and load it up and get to the dump. So until next time, this is George, the Shade Chief Fix-It Man, saying thanks for watching, for commenting, subscribing, sharing, thumbs up, all them good things. Till next time, bye for now.